Hey, it's Brandy and I am back with another video, and this one is part of a YouTube hop. We'll get back to that in just a minute. So here I've got some extra large Bristol Smooth cardstock. This is 11 by 14, and I'm going to use this Martha Stewart circle cutter to cut out a large circle. I think this is a 10-inch circle. I do cut it down um, towards the end, but for now I left it a little bit larger. I wanted a hill, so I took the scrap part, like the leftovers, and used that as as like a stencil, so I could trace it. So I could get like a hill, so I knew kind of where I wanted to keep my watercolor. Once I got that all done, I added my watercolor paints. These are by Stetzler. I am not a watercolorist, so I just happened to get these gifted to me, so I figured I'd play with them and see what they were like, and make a background out of them. I'm kind of going for like a galaxy Northern Lights style. You can tell me whether or not I actually achieved it. I have my paper towel to sop up any extra water, and I'm just gonna play. I honestly just did a bunch of layers. I threw on an audiobook and listened and played with my watercolors. I did do several layers, and um, I did use my heat gun to dry between layers, but the last final layer I did just set it aside and let it air dry. So a little bit about the YouTube hop. This YouTube hop is being hosted by the ladies over at Live Art Journaling and Self Development. Their Facebook page is down below. They are awesome and they've been so kind. I got to do a video for them earlier this month, and it was a lot of fun, and I can leave that one down below too if you guys want to check that out. But this is day 17, so there are plenty of days to check out if you haven't already. There's some awesome crafters and artists that have been participating. I will have them all listed at the end of the video, and you can check them out. So here is after I've done my several layers. To get that really intense pigment and color, you do need to do several layers of watercolor because it dries back so much. Here I'm going to spend an absorbently amount of long time ink blending onto my piece because I should re-ink my black ink. This is my Distress ink. It's my favorite ink to blend with, and I have to really re-ink this. I most of the time use my ink when I'm doing like mini albums, and I ink the edges because I don't like the white core of the paper. Or I want to distress it to give it to give that paper a little bit more of a distressed look. I really need to re-ink this. I'm gonna have to add that to my Christmas list. I hope everyone is enjoying their holiday season. I am not ready for the holidays to be here. I have so much stuff to do. I've got a shopping date with my husband on Wednesday because we need to go out and get the last few Christmas presents, and so we're going to do that on Wednesday. I'm so far behind. We haven't even finished decorating our Christmas tree. I've got it up. I don't have it decorated because it's just been busy. Every weekend we've had something going on and planned, and it gets away from me, and then work comes and gets in the way. So I'm going to take that. I wanted to give it like a really night sky feel, and I like the way it frames my piece here, so I'm going to give it a black border. I think if I was going to do this again, I would blend it out with some chipped sapphire instead of black soot. Well, along with the black soot, I would do the chipped sapphire first and then do the black soot on top of it. I think it would have just gotten a better, smoother blend. I used my spray bottle to clean up my craft mat and my stencil and just wiped it down. Sometimes, if I'm using like a paste or anything, I would actually bring it to the sink. For just ink, I'll just do it there. Here is that white gesso that came in that set of watercolors. I am just going to water it down and use it to make some snowy splatters on my piece. I wanted to add a snow hill, and I did lose some footage here, so I'm going to cut out a curve on my hill, and then I'm going to use the other side of it as my second hill. I'm just going to flip it and then trim it off with my paper trimmer, and then neaten up my hills and my curves with my scissors, just so that I can finish this edge up so I get two snowbanks. And I'm going to use foam square or foam tape. You can use foam squares, you can use fun foam, whatever you want, to pop up my my snowbank, so that way I get some dimension behind it. I'm going to pop one up and then I'll lay one flat, so there's more than one, so there's different layers of it. I'm just lining it up so that I get it kind of where I want on my piece. I'm going to trace it, and that's where I lose my finish. I just taped it down and cut it out. Here is where I pulled my my characters out that I wanted to use for this piece. I'm doing a nerdy themed here. So I have my police box and my character. I'm going to use my ink on 3 to stamp them. I like this ink. I've been using it for a few months now. I like that it's bold black and that I can use it with Copic and watercolor markers, which is what I'm going to use today, is my Zigs. Zigs are a water-based marker, and they have like a brush tip, so it's actually like a paint tip, like it's got individual bristles. I like these markers a lot. I have a lot of fun coloring with them. This is my favorite paper to color with them on, this bristle. It's why I picked the paper for this project, is because I knew I wanted to do my clean color real brush markers. Say that 10 times fast. So when I'm doing these, I lay down my darkest first and then pull it out with my medium and light tones, just because these blend closer to the surface of the paper, unlike Copics that blend in the fibers, so you need them more saturated. If I started with my light, when I went to put my dark in, it would just kind of bleed in and there wouldn't be as much shading. I apologize for the shadows. My cat is on my desk, I can tell. And then, oh, look, there he is. That's Tuxedo. He likes to come visit and hang out in my craft room. He actually loves it when I color. He plays with the markers and bats at them, and he's a goofball. And so, yes. So let's see, what's new with me? Let's see, I'm not ready for the holidays. And I did get my husband his Christmas present a little early. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen a little picture of Neelix. He is our bearded dragon. He's only a couple months old, and he is the newest member of our little family. So now we have a dog, a cat, and a bearded dragon. My kids are infatuated with him, and they think he is the coolest thing. And the other day when I was crafting, he was running around my desk because my son wanted to play with him and I had some stuff to do in the craft room. So Neelix got to hang out on my desk. Him and the cat and the dog seem to get along. They don't seem to care too much about there being a lizard in the house. The cat likes to watch him in his cage, but other than that, he doesn't really care. And so once I am done putting in all my shadows, for shadows, for this piece, I made this piece look a little bit more dimensional. I wanted it to look more rounded. So I put my shadows on the edges. Oh, look, this is where I was fighting with my camera focusing. There we go. I put my shadows on the outside edge and then pulled them into the center so that my center was my highlight. And then anywhere where like two pieces met is where I added the shadows. You do want to be careful with the yellow and the blue. There was a little spot where it got a little on the tinge of green side where the two met. And then I'm going to color in my character right here, my two characters. I did stamp 3 of them. I only used 2 of them because one of them I didn't stamp very well. And I will leave the stamp sets. These come from a couple of different stamp sets that are by Kindred Stamps. I love their stamp sets because I'm a nerd and they do awesome pop culture sets. Oh, look, Tux is back. See, told you my cat's always around when I'm coloring. When I'm coloring this, because he has like a rounded dome, I wanted to leave, I wanted there to be a bit of like a shadow highlight, but I didn't want to be up against the edge, so I actually put my shadow just inside so that I would get like a highlight along the very top. Like if you were to put like a Christmas bulb, like a sphere and light, you would notice that it kind of comes, it's not up against the edge, that highlight, it's like there's a highlight against the edge and then it's a little bit darker in. That gives it that dimension. So that's why my highlights are a little bit further in, like they're not at the edge. It just gives it more like a 3D, more of a rounded spherical 3D look. At least I think so. And then again, I'm going to do all my dark, do all of my shadows, and then do my medium tone, and then come in with my light, and then I'm going to add my yellow. I did fussy cut all those pieces. I didn't think anybody want to watch that. This piece right here is a little bit of lightweight chipboard. It's in white. I just wanted to give my sign decor a little bit more backing, like a heavier duty feel. And I wanted to put a piece of ribbon in it, and so this is a great way to trap my ribbon. So just took some navy satin ribbon, and then I put it down, cut off the extra, and then I used my score tape to put it down, and then I'm going to sandwich it between the 2 layers, and I'm just using the score tape. You can manipulate score tape pretty well, so I'm just manipulating it around the edge. It's not perfect. It does have lumps and bumps. It's not a big deal. I can smush them down with my bone folder. Here is where I have my ATG to fill in the rest. I've been an ATG girl for years. So the nice part about editing is you don't actually have to watch me refill my ATG, because I totally ran out in the middle of doing this project. So I'm going to line up my 2 circles, smush them down, keeping my hanging ribbon up at the top. This is where I noticed I had some like funky little frays, so I trimmed those off with my scissors. I'm going to use some foam tape to pop up my police box. And then I punched out, well, die cut, a bunch of letters to spell the word celebrate. I did stack them. I did a black layer and a white layer. I did the black layer underneath and the white layer on top, just to give them a little bit more beef and stuff. You can stack as many layers as you want. I just did 2. And then once I am done with this, I'm just using a little dabs of glue because you don't want a ton of extra. This is the Thermoweb glue. It's the glue I've been using for, I would say, 3-4 months. I'm not a wet glue person. I make a mess of the wet glue. If I have the choice, I will grab the ATG if I can fit it. It's just my preferred. I'm more of an adhesive girl than a glue, like a wet glue person. So then once I get them all lined up, I didn't think you needed to watch me play with those, and I get my characters kind of where I want them and where I like them, I'm just gonna add their foam tape to them, make sure that it's not sticking out, and then I'm gonna put on my layers. Actually, I'm gonna fight with my glue first, and then I'm gonna put all my layers on. I'm just, they're not perfectly centered and everything, but you know what? It's a handmade sign. It's not meant to be perfect. I'm not a perfect person. I'm okay with it. I'm a little off center myself. Anyways, you really want to be careful not to get like glue oozing everywhere, even if it's like the glue that dries matte and stuff. I still find that it picks up fingerprints, so less is more. You can always add more, right? And so I'm going to get all my letters on, and then once I get all my letters adhered and set, I'm going to add my characters right on the ends, and then because bow ties are cool, I'm going to take the little extra piece of ribbon I had, and I'm going to tie a bow tie, because everybody needs a bow. Things better with a bow. I fiddled with this thing for a little while, and then because I didn't want my ends to fray, and this is a satin ribbon, I'm just going to take my my lighter, the only reason I own a lighter, to finish off the edges. And so once I do that, I'm going to take a big glue dot and use a glue dot to secure that up at the top, and that's my little winter themed, nerdy themed hanging sign. I hope you guys all enjoy and check out all these other wonderful ladies. I will be back soon.